Hello and welcome to the another episode of Factor Investing. Today we will explore the quality as an factor. Although quality as an factor has been a low profile in last 3.5 years, but in long term it has generated good alpha over a period of time across benchmark. So today we will explore this factor, what quality is, how it will help to strategize your portfolio. So today we have Mr. Anil Ghelani from DSP. He is head of passive investments and products at DSP Asset Manager. So welcome to our show, Anil.
Thank you.
And if we'll start, with quality as in factor. So how do you define, quality as in factor to our layman,
I'll try to explain with a classic example. Like you explained about my office is based in Nariman Point. So whenever friends like you or clients say that अनिल भाई आपके साथ लंच करने आ रहे हैं ऑफिस में, I say yes, come, most welcome. Nariman Point is famous for street food. But when I go to the street food vendors, there is a whole queue of vendors. First I try to make sure कि भाई मैडम को लेके जा रहा हूँ लंच के लिए, बीमार नहीं पड़ने चाहिए मैडम. I need to ensure good quality food is being served to you because you have come as my guest. So I will try to make sure which of those stalls have maintained good cleanliness, who are ensuring that the water they use is packaged water or mineral water. Then at least I am comfortable about the quality of the food. The taste and the cuisine or the other factors are secondary. Very similarly, when we look at quality as a factor for identifying stocks, at that point of time, certain key elements of the business dynamics about the prudent way of managing the business is paramount. So we look at quality filters by considering the ROE profiles, return on equity. कि कंपनी जो रिटर्न्स कमा रही है, प्रॉफिट्स कमा रही है, और जो इक्विटी मतलब जो कैपिटल लगा हुआ है, तो what is the return on that equity that the company is earning? What kind of leverage मतलब company is using, how much of borrowed money or equity? So classic form of gearing or the ratios which we look at for the leverage of the company. Then we look at the earnings stability कि हाँ कंपनी अच्छा पैसा तो बना रही है, but is that earnings stable or is it very cyclical, very sharp earnings in 2-3 quarters and then 1 or 2 quarters losses, or is it more stable earnings? So these are the key characteristics that we focus on when we are looking at quality as a factor.
So quality as a factor, we have seen mostly this factor actually perform in a downturn. When we see the sharp correction in the market or market is in a down phase. So what do you say? I mean, whether any other economic cycle also this factor performs?
I think in a way you are very correct that very often in downturn or when there is a little bit pressure in the broader economy, that's when these kind of good quality, stable companies, less leverage on the balance sheet, they will tend to do better. Same example I'll carry on further. अपन गए नीचे स्ट्रीट फूड खाने के लिए, मान लो रेनी सीजन नहीं है, अच्छी सीजन है, तो बाय एंड लार्ज कोई भी फूड आप ले लो तो लेस चांस ऑफ फॉलिंग सिक. बट इफ यू फील कि राइट नाउ तो है ना वो सीजन चल रही, बहुत जन को वो वायरल फीवर होला या वो क्या बोलते हैं समथिंग फूड बेस्ड सम स्टमक अपसेट हो रहा है, देन एट दैट पॉइंट सर नहीं मेरे को तो क्वालिटी वाले स्टॉल पे आप खाना खिलाना. सो वेरी सिमिलर टू दैट व्हेन वी आर फोकसिंग ऑन certain economic situations where there is a little bit potential for downturn in the economy or slowdown in the economy also. In such instances, these kind of good quality companies, what we saw and what we discussed earlier, they are high ROE generating companies, less leverage means less borrowings, better earning stability. So very naturally, these kind of companies tend to do better because even investors tend to seek this sort of companies when there is a slowdown in the economy.
Okay.
So yes, perfect point. But having said that, it's not that in positive markets or in growing markets, quality does not perform well. It does do well because there are many other factors at play. But broadly speaking, when in the economic context, if there is a little bit of a slowdown in the economy, we have always seen that quality as a factor does very well.
You said, whenever we are going and, having food in a street, we look for the quality.
Yes.
But across globe, we have seen, many studies, like quality as a factor comes in a secondary. There are the other factors which comes on the primary side. Do you see the same case in India as well?
Yes, very true. So whether we define it as a primary or secondary, that is a debatable thing.
Okay.
But yes, there are certain key factors which are driven by price movement. For example, momentum as a factor, or for example, low volatility. And those factors become the determinants of the movement of that particular stock. Quality is very important aspect of the way in which the business is being conducted, the way in which the profitability is generated. तो नेट अपन कहते हैं ना मैडम कि जब भी मैं कोई स्टॉक खरीदती हूँ तो व्हाट आई एम लुकिंग एट, आई एम बिकमिंग अ को ओनर ऑफ दैट कंपनी. कंपनी की मैं हिस्सेदार हूँ, मैं मालिक हूँ, मैं उतने प्रोपोर्शनेट हूँ. दैट मीन्स आई एम ट्राइंग टू बी अ को ओनर or get a share in the profitability or the cash flows of that company's business. Hence, that is in my view, in fact, the primary fundamental aspect of what I'm buying. Whether I'm buying a good company, whether that company is having a good, strong ROE profile and good, robust way of managing the debt to equity. The other aspects of momentum, etc., would be important because they will determine the price movement of that stock after I buy. But when identifying the company and the business, in fact, I would say this becomes the foundation. But absolutely, I agree with your point that many global markets, as well as in India, or I would say typically in all developing countries, we have seen that some of the other factors like momentum, like volatility, they often play a very important role because they are just looking at the price movement, often which is driven by flows, often which is driven by investor sentiment, and after that they look at the quality of the underlying business or the underlying cash flows. But as an analyst, often I would strongly feel we need to, of course, look at all together, but core fundamental aspect that whether the company is good, it can sustain over long cycles, that is a more important aspect.
Yeah, if quality is not there, then that should be even the foundation of any investments.
Absolutely.
So quality as a factor, I think interest rate also plays a very important role while defining the quality stocks performance. So in this current scenario, what do you believe and how it is going to impact on the quality stocks?
Structurally, like we discussed, that good quality companies are companies where there is lesser leverage or lower borrowings.
Right.
Hence, when the interest rate scenario is in a kind of a rising interest rate scenario, often these kind of good quality companies tend to do comfortably well because their borrowings, even if they get repriced at higher levels, their impact on the P&L is relatively comfortable. Company borrowing ही कम है या बहुत zero borrowing है. Many of the good quality companies, they are net debt free companies. तो इंटरेस्ट रेट बढ़ भी रहा है तो मेरे P&L में कॉस्ट ऑफ कैपिटल इतना इम्पैक्ट नहीं कर रहा है. बट इफ ऑन द अदर हैंड when we see that interest rates are in a declining environment, at that point of time some of the quality companies, because other way around also, though interest rate is declining, it is not going to give a positive kicker on the P&L, whereas some of the other companies which are highly leveraged, they will tend to do better. So usually, loosely speaking, as a rule of thumb, you can expect that in declining interest rate scenario, which is often also a mark of more liquidity sloshing around the markets and liquidity chasing stocks. In such situations, often other factors like momentum, etc. can come to play. In other situations where, let's say, there is a rising interest rate scenario, where companies who are highly leveraged or have more debt to equity, they will be in a little bit of a difficult spot because their P&L is getting impacted with higher interest costs, and in those periods, quality companies will do much better. So in rising scenario, typically speaking, quality will do good. In falling interest rate scenario, possibly quality will underperform. broadly everything else being safe.
Okay, so quality as a factor, if we would like to combine with any other factor, what would be the one factor we can combine with?
अगर स्ट्रक्चरली लॉन्ग टर्म में अपने को पोर्टफोलियो क्रिएट करना है, अच्छा डाइट मेंटेन करना है, अच्छा फूड लेना है, तो हर दिन मुझे वो गुड क्वालिटी वाले फूड स्टॉल पे ही जाके खाना खाना है. व्हाट आई मीन इज दैट इफ आई वांट टू बिल्ड अ पोर्टफोलियो फॉर लॉन्ग टर्म राइडिंग थ्रू मल्टीपल बिजनेस साइकिल्स, let's say I am doing a small SIP for my next generation or for my long-term retirement, then maybe only quality is a sufficient enough and good enough factor to focus on. If I am looking at some tactical call कि ये 3-6 महीने के लिए 1 साल के लिए मुझे, जैसे आपने पूछा ना कि can I merge 2 factors along with quality, what else should I merge? So if it is this kind of a short-term tactical call, then maybe along with quality you can merge whatever is the current flavor, let's say momentum. So momentum and quality often do very well. Or like earlier question you asked, that some are primary factors like we saw momentum, low volatility, etc. And quality becomes the like core or the fundamental aspect. So you merge it with maybe momentum or with low volatility, you can do well for a tactical allocation. But for a structural long-term allocation, I feel single factor quality also can do extremely well.
If we talk about current momentum, so do you see like quality is has done the comeback, and upcoming years we can see the quality outperforming the momentum?
I think at least if we saw that sitting today in October, last 3 months, 4 months data if I see, or almost from let's say 6 months now, definitely there is a turnaround visible. Now whether that turnaround will continue for a long time, time will tell, but strongly believe based on certain data points that we are seeing right now, that it could be a good time to take a sort of contra position where broader market is yet not starting to focus on quality stocks. So relatively you can get it at undervaluation point relatively, and then wait on it to ride the positive uptrend.
So let's change the gear and we'll come back to the rapid fire round.
Sure.
So first question is one keyword behind the quality factor.
Safety and resilience.
Okay. Investing in quality factor, you would suggest solely or the multi-factor approach?
Solely if you have a long-term portfolio like we said, or if you have a short-term tactical, then multi-factor, combining with some other factor.
Okay. 2 benefits associated with the quality factor.
You will not fall sick, like we spoke. अच्छा खाना खा रहे हो, quality food है, तो you will not fall sick. But specifically, if you are owning quality portfolio or quality stocks, you have a comfort that lesser chance of accidents or company going under very rough patch. And second, you have a better chance of a resilient portfolio.
Okay. And 2 risk, if you would like to explain it.
Biggest risk, madam, you already discussed, is of a underperformance. Client को कितना भी अपन सोचे, एक ऑलवेज फीलिंग रहता है कि अरे मेरा स्टॉक मेरे फ्रेंड से या मेरे नेबर से या आपके दूसरे क्लाइंट से अंडर परफॉर्म कर रहा है. तो वन बिगेस्ट रिस्क फॉर ओनिंग क्वालिटी इज दैट अंडर परफॉर्मेंस विल बी देयर इन सर्टन पॉकेट्स ऑफ टाइम, बट देन दैट वे इट इज देयर फॉर एनी फैक्टर और any aspect of investing. As long as you are able to get a comfort over a long cycle, it will do well. That's great.
Okay, so how's the market condition as of now for quality factor?
I think market today is a right moment to start thinking differently. If one would like to take a little bit contra bet, I strongly feel that rather than focusing on value or little bit momentum and value and growth, it can be a good time to start looking at quality in a big way, and it can definitely make a good turnaround and comeback.
Okay, so thank you Anil, thank you for giving us insights on the quality as in factor. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, it's always pleasure to be here on this show with Nirmal Bang. Your research and your team, the way in which you handle the clients and give them dispassionate advice, always putting clients' interest first. Very much we at DSP align with that thinking, and always happy to be on your shows or work together with you. Thank you very much.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel and click on the bell icon to never miss an update from Nirmal Bang.